Welcome to the Awesome Business Podcast with your host, Ryan McPartlin. Guys, I've spent 25 years in the entertainment industry, best known as Captain Awesome from NBC's Chuck, or that guy from the Hallmark and Lifetime Christmas movies. The best part of my job is meeting a whole lot of extraordinary people from awesome businesses. That's what this podcast is about. I want you to meet and learn from these people too. We're going to pull back the curtain on actors, athletes, and entrepreneurs and the obstacles they overcame to star in their own success story. So join me and unleash your awesome. Welcome back to the Awesome Business Podcast with Ryan McPartlin. In this part 2 episode with Jessica Hall, she's talking about everything from Playboy to Playdates, podcast hosting, and mom influencing. We're lucky to have her sharing her awesome business with us. Okay. You were talking about Kyle being at the mansion with you and making it a lot easier. And you were moving up the ladder. You were like, how can I make this, more of a career move?
So I started doing the Cancun stuff, which I said was everything was a job. As much as it was so much fun, watching all the college kids, be able to party and do this. And some of the girls, it wasn't as easy. A lot of the girls were kind of, these college girls, and the guys would come up and get things, picture signed. And I just remember little incidents of girls they're not that pretty or da-da-da. It was kind of hard, a little bit, just being so young and being the same age, but working. And I know it doesn't seem like, it's not like.
Do you feel like for every compliment you get or got at the time that you would not take those in, but then the negative ones you would absolutely, no matter how few there were?
I think that's just how people are in general. No matter what, it's like a work in progress. You get 100 great comments on your post and you see that one negative one, and people tend to focus on that.
And your focus just is on that.
But at this time, honestly, I didn't care. I was just like, you know what? I am going to work. I'm going to make my money. I'm going to keep on. I was always so grateful that I did have a job like this that took me to places that growing up never thought I could. I got to travel. I got to go to the Paralympics. Playboy was big on helping out in the charities at the time. And there was so much that I was exposed to in a good way. It wasn't like I just got naked all the time. I think people think that. And, there was such a bigger world to play. It's everywhere. I went to Germany. I know that people have their own, ideas of Playboy, or their own experiences. This is just my experience. And so moving from there, I saw that Playboy signed a huge deal with SiriusXM. And I go, okay, SiriusXM, I love hosting. This is great. I missed a lot of stuff too. With Playboy, there's Playboy TV, Playboy.com. I was working. And whatever anyone didn't want to do, I still had to go cast for it. It wasn't just we're going to choose Jessica. I still had to audition, even though it was in the Playboy world and I was already a Playboy model. It didn't matter. So I saw that SiriusXM signed a big deal and they announced it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. It was one channel above Howard Stern at the time. And so I went and they're like, oh, no, we don't really have Playboy girls on it. We have professionals and this and that. And I was like, well, I really want to do this. How can I? So just long story short, I did a 6-month completely free on SiriusXM at Playboy Radio to learn the ins and outs. It was not a podcast form whatsoever. This is live radio. So you can't just stick someone on, a show and just think that I could fill in 2 hours, 5 days a week on live radio. So I learned how to cut go to breaks. I had my little, I forgot what it was called, keyboard type of deal to do different sounds at different things. I would get fined if I sang copyright stuff or happy birthday, all the crazy stuff. So I did a 6-month hardcore, let's do this. I'm ready. I want this. And thankfully I did that because I went on for 7 years with SiriusXM 5 days a week doing the morning after. And then I moved on from the morning after to a show called Happy Hour. And it was honestly the best experience. I absolutely loved working for SiriusXM. The only thing I regret is I remember our producer at the time, a year before we ended with SiriusXM, not knowing we were going to end, he was like, oh, we should do this podcast thing. And I go, what's a podcast? And he was like, well, it's, a forum where anyone could kind of do it. They come on and it picks up, and just kind of explaining the thing down to me. I was like, wait, but I already have it. I don't want to leave SiriusXM. This has been great. I got to go to New York. I got to go. I was like, I'm good.
Why would I do all the work?
I know. And sometimes I just had this conversation with my husband this morning. I'm a very open person. I don't I never edit my stuff. And I think I learned that just from being live on SiriusXM. I'm like, if I said it, unless you edit me in a certain ways to like combine my words is wrong. But other than that, I'm like, I don't care. I pretty much talk about everything. Like nothing's off limits.
Yeah.
And I think I would have probably excelled maybe going to the podcast world. And I kicked myself in the butt that I started so late. And not to scare you, but
yeah, no,
at the time.
I think that what's interesting now though is that everybody's serving their audience, right? So we were lucky to find an audience in the early 2000s and beyond, when right now people are fighting for just a small, like they're trying to find where they would fit in any world. Whereas I just look at this as I'm going to serve my existing audience. And I'm going, if new people want to jump on board and find it for the first time, great. But it's more of a tool of what I would want on the other side. And especially anyone who wants to get in the entertainment industry in this day and age. And that's going to be the purpose of interviewing people like you. I want anyone who wants to be a host to know that some things don't change, right? Like the medium might change and the podcast for radio or whatever, but your talent is your talent. And that came from all of the things that you went through. And for somebody who's just in college or in high school or stay at home and go like, oh, I'm just going to try a podcast. It's like, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
What do you have to talk about? What do you have to like offer the audience? And it's always about serving the audience, right?
Yeah, no, I like that. And I think you said that perfectly. I do like that you are giving back to your fans because you've worked so long and hard in this career. And I think that they deserve to hear this, but they also will have a great takeaway. I think people nowadays look at social media and look at, oh my gosh, things came so easy. They look great. They have this friend. They get to do this. They get to do that. They book that. And it's like everything comes with work. Nothing is as easy as it may seem. And the highlights are only on social media. So by you having this podcast, I think there is a takeaway. I think people are going to be a little bit like, oh, hey, wow. Like it wasn't, oh, what is it called?
Yeah,
Rainbows?
I always want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I always want that takeaway. It's got to either educate or entertain, and hopefully do both. And you're so good at it. Every time I'm with you, I get this energy of going like, why aren't you doing the biggest show out there right now on SiriusXM or the radio or whatever? And then I forget, oh, you also have to have a family and maintain the balance of time, as do I, right? So it's this push and pull of having young kids and then being ambitious to get out there and do it and put yourself out there like what we used to do when we were younger.
Oh my gosh.
And be in the thick of it, right?
Yes.
And being in that grind and that race.
Well, the amount of used to have is, I'm very grateful and thankful for that. But like you said, you know, I'm in my 40s now and I have 2 kids and I have to really prioritize my time. I miss and love radio so much. I left my podcast a little bit over a year ago. And it's something that I think about and it's something that I'm like, I'm going to get back. And it's just one of those things that I have to like curate and kind of do because it is a lot of work. This is, even putting together a podcast, it's not, and you're also you're vulnerable.
Let's talk about that. So let's talk about that for not only me, because I'm new to this, but it's a really useful conversation for the audience to go, hey, maybe I have a small business or I do a job, I'm a realtor, or it could be anything, right? I have a restaurant. It could be in any part of the country, any part of the world. What would your advice be about how to start and what's the first thing you would say to do, right? Like if you're gonna start a podcast in this day and age, knowing what you know, having and actually, please say what you had flashbacks and you also had another podcast, right?
A podcast,
a couple.
So SiriusXM, I did the morning after, and then I did a show called Happy Hour. And then from there, I went over to Podcast One, and I did a show called The Hollywood Filter. And from there, I went to Action Park Media, where Kevin Conley owns, and I did a show called Flashbacks. Flashbacks,
that's right.
I have done the live radio to the podcast, and I will say, and Kevin could vouch for me, but I have never once edited one of my podcasts, ever.
Wow.
My advice is if you actually truly, truly enjoy it, go with it and don't censor yourself too much. I think the more censor and the more, things that you have to hide, like the real moments, even all the mess ups that we've had a few during this podcast, that just shows people that, how authentic you are and just how real you are and how things aren't exactly as polished as I think some people are so want to be in control of. You just have to really, truly enjoy it.
What would your advice be if you were to start today and say, hey, I want to just start teaching people how to do, how to be a talk show host or how to be a podcast host? What would that look like to you?
I would say if you are going to have a podcast with guests, like I said, good storyteller, be vulnerable, be real, be authentic. Don't go too long. Be cohesive on what you're like. It just can't be all over the place. Like I'm going to tune into. I know I'm going to hear great advice. I'm going to hear some Hollywood flashback stories. I'm gonna hear like the realness of it, but the success of it, and it's going to make me feel good. So I just think I think nowadays people want to listen to something where they're going to have like, wow, I didn't realize that, or this, or a little pep in their step because they realize like, okay, I may not get that promotion at work, or I'm getting this, or I'm getting that, but you know what? I'm going to keep at it because so and so, took 10 years and had to go through X, Y, and Z.
That's great advice. I think that's spot on, and that's what I want my audience to be able to hear that and have a good takeaway from it because that's what we're about here. It's going to be how to pivot a little bit or even enhance your business, your existing business. It's better to be done than perfect. I heard that recently. So to just do it, which is a slogan I still live by, and Nike hit that nail on the head a long time ago. I remember in high school just going, I just need to do it. I need to do it and stop thinking about it and just do the workout, just do the, I almost said audition, but the tryout for sports at the time, that stuff that I was nervous to think of my, putting that first foot forward. But you hit the nail on the head and saying, just do it and don't overthink it,
But if you're going to do it, but commit, you have to commit. And yes, because it's you see everyone else doing it and you may think, oh, I could do that, but then you give up easily, then you didn't really want it. So you have to, and hey, my podcast, my co-host at the time was going through some rough times, so we took a break, and then I took too long of a break, if that makes sense. And now I'm just like, oh my gosh, I want to get back into it because I know I miss it, but now I'm going to be very precise about it because my time is valuable. I had all the time in the world, I feel like, in my 20s, and now it's like, okay, you know what? I got to sit here. I want to reevaluate exactly where I want to be, what I want out of it, what I want to give back. And so that's going to be my next step, I think, moving forward with my podcast.
Good. I was going to just ask, what does the future look like? What are the goals? What's the ambition? Is talk show host on the agenda? Is it podcasting?
I like being in person. I love like connecting, but I've noticed that's my old school in me because I noticed when I was doing my podcast, everybody wanted to zoom in or send me this, send me that. And you're so good at it right now, just like connecting with me and you've probably done this a lot, but I can't do that necessarily. So I do like a studio, but I can't do the drive and I feel like I'm always rushed. So then I'm rushing my shows. So I think doing it at home is like the way to be, but I think I need to get some, in-house help, I think, with the editing and sending these links out and you're a one-man show here and I don't think I could do it. So kudos to you.
Well, hey, the door is always open to you co-hosting anytime. Yeah. If you want to make this the Ryan and Jessica show, I'd love your expertise. But honestly, I think that you're amazing and I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but you've been so open and so vulnerable and so honest. Would you change anything? Any advice you'd give your younger self, within the world of Playboy, within the podcasting, within the TV show host, within all that you'd like to say, hey, get ready for this ride, young Jessica, and know this, what would that be?
I would say, a lot of people ask me if I regret, like, oh, you have kids now. Can you believe you did Playboy? Yeah, I can. And I'm gonna, as I get older too, I'm like, damn, I look good. Like, I'm just glad I have that documentation.
I love that.
but heading back to that, I wish I would have, I wish I would have told my younger self to care a lot less what people think. I wish I would have I let so many others kind of shine above me. Like I never thought like I should get this or that. Like if there was someone else, I would always kind of push them before me. And I did
Oh
that for
yeah.
so long, up to not that long ago. Like I would let others shine, even though they're like, oh, you should do that. I never had, when you asked me earlier about the confidence, yes, I had it in that one thing, probably because I was tired and I was just like, this isn't helping. But in that case, in that one particular moment worked. But I think moving forward, I just never thought I was as good enough. And so I would go back and tell myself, like, Jessica, you have this. Believe in yourself as much as, these people kind of put you out there, and stop like always and not helping others. That sounds terrible, because I love connecting. I absolutely love connecting. But I think I did
honestly
it too
think
much.
it's one of your best traits. And it is, I know what you're saying, that you have to like toot your own horn a little bit instead of tooting everybody else's horn. But one of your best traits is how much you want other people to succeed. And when you see that in somebody like you, you're just like, I want to be around that person. You're genuinely listening to other people and actively like rooting for them without any self-interest. So I know what you're saying, but don't lose that quality because it's such an amazing quality.
My younger years is what I'm saying. Like I never thought like,
oh, I hear you.
When there was, I remember St. Pauli girl. I was one of 3 girls that got chosen to this big like nationwide like contest. It was the first ever that they just didn't pick one. They put 3 of us together and had like this big voting thing. And I remember like slowly backing out because I just didn't. I was like, no, they can have it. They can have it. Like even like with jobs, or even with like filming, or even like, TV hosting even. I just always allowed others to kind of, I should have just did
go
it.
before
I don't
you.
know if that makes sense, but
no, it makes perfect sense. It's about when you're auditioning or you're putting yourself out there, it's about whether you fit into something or not. But when you were self-sabotaging yourself you were being locked, they were choosing you, they were picking you, and you're like, oh, like, no, let's let
be
someone
the
else
co-star
go.
all day long, but I never want to be the star.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. It's like the bridesmaid and not the bride.
Yeah. I was like, I'm good. I was comfortable. I was like, this, I'm going to keep this spot. Like, there was nobody like, I mean.
You're a walking rom-com. You're like the bridesmaid.
But it's like, I've been doing Kendra's show for 5 years on reality TV. I did E-Entertainment, WeTV, and her last show, HGTV. And I was more than happy to be a cheerleader. I was like, let's do this. But the second, like, anything was, like, main attention, I just couldn't. I was like, I will be more than happy to be the supportive role.
Well, listen, you're a star, and you're so vulnerable. You own your story so well, and you're so confident in your story. And it's how you deal with it, and there's no shame whatsoever. And I was mostly naked on Abercrombie, and I always say that my first 10 years, I didn't have my clothes on TV. Because that was every job I had. It was like a soap opera, to Living with Fran, to Captain Awesome. And those 10 years, it was every episode, they were like, how can we get Ryan's shirt off? I'm like, can I just have a cheeseburger? Can I just eat a cheeseburger, please?
Yeah.
So it felt very much the same in the guy world, you know?
Thank you for sharing that with me. You make me not feel so much. I think women, it's always like this, but also,
I wanted to use it to where I wanted to get to. Also, I had goals, and I had these, so I was like, all right, well, I'll keep the abs tight as long as I have to. You know? And I mean, I just did it again on the Amish Affair with a Lifetime. So, and my kids were mortified because they were so young. Yeah, they were so young all those years that they our friends look at the old Abercrombie pictures, but not really. Nobody really knew. And then when the trailer, when I posted on social media for the Amish Affair, like, dude, I actually did an Instagram thing while I was on set, and it was, I want to say, the Taylor Swift song where I raised up the camera to just show off like that I got abs again. It took me a while to get them back. And they were sprayed a little bit, don't get me wrong, but I did this whole Instagram thing, and both my kids called me on set, take it down. They go, honestly, Dad, you don't even know what you're doing on social media.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
There you go. You don't know what you're doing. I've gotten it in 6 different group chats already, and I can't deal with it. And I was laughing so hard. I was like, you know what? Maybe you need to be bullied a little bit, guys. I think your generation's a little too soft. They're mortified at a certain stage, and then they're going to be, proud when they get older.
I'm lucky mine are so young right now. They have no idea about absolutely. I remember one of them.
They're going to everything you do is going to be wrong at some phase in their life.
Right now, I'm
that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the teenage years, every choice you made, and then they'll see you as a human being and go, oh, yeah, I would have done that, or I should do something like that, get outside of my comfort zone and my box. And you've taught so many people how to deal with it in the best possible, healthy way, great relationship. And I'm so saying I'm proud of you is like condescending, but I'm really impressed by you. No, I'm very impressed by you, and how you deal with it.
Did you just give me a thumbs up?
You know what? I did. No, I didn't. I don't know how that happened.
That's amazing.
It's like one of those. Now it's not working. It's like. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to close with? Because I took so much of your time as it is.
No, I can't wait to see this piece together. But my advice to you is to keep a lot of it. Just keep a lot of it.
Oh, I'll keep a lot of it for sure. We'll break it up.
Honestly, and the thumbs up, all of it. You keep that, Ryan. Like, yes.
And by the way, when I quit modeling, we were talking about, being exploited. This story still sticks with me. I was in a bungalow at the Chateau Marmont, and very, very famous photographer, like career-making photographer. He had to do the thing, took the clothes off. He circled around me, and then he came up to me, and he pulled my underwear back to look in my pants. And he said, I have to see if your balls are big enough for Calvin Klein. And I just go, okay, I think that's a wrap.
Wow.
And I called my agent, like from the time I got home, because I didn't have a cell phone yet.
Yeah.
I called my agent. I just said, I'm done. I'm not. And I'd done Abercrombie at that point. I'd done a bunch. Thanks for the thumbs up for that story. What is that?
I didn't do it. Wait, this isn't
is so
live,
weird.
is it?
No.
Oh.
It's recording. No, that would have been amazing if it was live.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's just recording.
Ryan, I can't believe these stories right now. I you know what I think?
Yeah, and I was like,
I feel so alone with. I mean, told you half my stories, but knowing, not that this is not okay what you dealt with, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things when you're like, and I was probably 23 at the time, but I was like, man, there's probably some 17-year-old kid doesn't have, like, I was fully baked. That's how I always say it. I was fully baked. I knew what I wanted in life. I knew what I didn't want in life. I was like, I sold insurance. So I'm like, I'll go back to selling insurance instead of this. When I was leaving the soap opera, I was like, I'm not getting much out of the soap opera. I want to quit and go back to selling insurance instead of being on TV and doing that, because it wasn't fulfilling to me. So it was always about fulfillment. And I was like, I'm done. I'm so done with that. Be willing to walk away. Yeah. Always be willing to walk away.
I like that.
Right?
That's great advice.
Yeah.
You can always make it in some other way, that you do not have to go down to someone's level basically to get.
No.
Absolutely not.
You can always start a podcast.
I think people don't talk about this stuff. Like, everyone's just more like, there are so many avenues to get to where you are literally, why we're sitting here today is because we went through all of that, good, bad, all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you are so amazing. And I look forward to having you on more if you're willing to. And we got tons to talk about. Next time I'll go to your house and we'll do it together. Yeah, let's do that for sure. And we could actually bring on, some guests that you'd want to bring on too. That'll be anybody that has business advice for people that want to either make a pivot in their career or enhance their career or do some of the stuff like what we're doing here. is really the purpose of this, just to help people out, help the audience out.
Well,
So
this is the new marketing. This is how you do it. If you do have a small business, like you said, you don't have to be on TV. You don't have to have this Hollywood lifestyle. Anyone can do a podcast, and the best part of it, well, you have to get people to listen. But if you're building your own brand, you are the brand. So you need to start that social media, even start your blogging to your podcast, get your brand out there as much as you possibly can, and just be consistent with it. And, you never know where it could take you.
you're the best.
Oh.
I love you, Jessica
Love
Hall.
you.
Thank you so much. Give my love to your family,
I
and
will.
we will. I'll see you here in
All right.
Awesome Town.
I love it. Bye, Captain Awesome.
If you liked what you heard, it would mean a lot if you took 2 seconds and left a 5-star review. Hit that follow or subscribe button for future episodes and share it with as many friends as possible. Because business can be tough, but together we can be a little more awesome.